of 2019, and in my position as Chancellor of Iowa Valley Community College District, which is, for those of you who don't know, Iowa Valley Community College District is Marshalltown Community College, Ellsworth Community College, and Iowa Valley Continuing Ed. We're all the same entity. We just have this kind of confusing structure where we have kind of 3 different brands that we operate under. Since I came to Marshalltown in the summer of 2019, as the chancellor, I've had 2 dorm fires, one at MCC, one at Ellsworth. We've had a bond issue. Thank you to all of our voters who supported that bond issue, the pandemic, and about $2 million worth of damage from the derecho on campus. So it's been a busy first 2 years, and I can still say that I really enjoy it. So I think that speaks a lot to the wonderful people that I've had the chance to work with here. A little bit about myself. My husband Drew and I have 2 grown daughters. Taylor is a senior at Butler University in Indianapolis, and we have no more tuition bills left, so we consider that a huge victory. And she has a job that she starts in June after graduation. So that's our biggest accomplishment of the year. And then our other daughter, Kennedy, is she graduated from Creighton University a couple years ago, and she's in Milwaukee and does IT search consulting for companies who are placing IT professionals. So we're very lucky to have 2 wonderful daughters. And my husband, he does sales for Cascade Manufacturing. So he sells roof and floor systems. And because of that, he splits his time between Marshalltown and the Solon area. So many of his customers are in the Iowa City area. So with that, outside of work, and really enjoy outdoor activities, in particular anything that involves water and reading. And I'm just looking forward to having the opportunity to be back in a live environment, not just for this meeting, but for so many other community events. So that's all I have, Mary.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We are ready for happy news. Or let's see, we have announcements. I don't know if we did that yet, but the attendance was on our agenda. You want to show that to us again? Kim, was that 34? Do I remember right? Last week? There you are, 34 on Zoom. Okay. And Mike, we'd like to hear, this was a very busy weekend for Rotarians in our community. And Mike, would you like to give the final report on our Stock the Food Box?
Thanks, Mary. Yes, we ended up with 140 bags that were delivered to the food box last Friday. That's 2,240 pounds of food that went to needy families. And it literally filled up a lot of the shelves space in the food box. And they were very pleased to get that. And thank you to all the Rotarians who contributed, and to those of you that helped last Friday get the bags from Hy-Vee to the food box. Thank you as well. So it was a good project. Thank you.
It was indeed a good project, and we want to give a shout out to Hy-Vee for partnering with us also. It's my understanding that they added $5 value of food items to each bag in addition. So it was a really wonderful contribution that we made. And thank you again for your leadership, Mike. We also have some good news from our People of Action Committee. And Bob, I don't see Carrie on. Would you like to report? And these are some pictures, I think, that your wife Linda took.
Are you able to hear me now, Mary?
We are, yes.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, very quickly, these are pictures that were taken Sunday and Monday. The People of Action group went out to the police department, fire department, the Unity Point EMS, and then the library. The first 3 were on Sunday, and then the library on Monday. And what we did was, with Rotary support, we purchased cookies, and I'll put in a plug here for Appleberry Farm, Kelly Mason. They're prepared 140 Valentine's cookies, and she put them in these nice little plastic Valentine's wraps. and I really want to emphasize how important it was for us to use a local vendor for that and have those cookies made. They've had a pretty tough year at the Appleberry Farm. So not only I want to put in a plug, but I would encourage Rotarians to visit that place and help Dave and Kelly with their operation. But we had a wonderful opportunity then to visit with each of these organizations, the police department, fire department, EMS, and the library. And you can see pictures here. Upper left was the EMS, upper right is the police department, and lower left is the library, and then lower right is is the fire department, and then in the center you see us packaging those. So my voice is giving out for some reason, and that's enough. I'll turn it back to you, Mary.
Thank you very much. It was accompanied by a very nice message that Carrie wrote, expressing our appreciation for the work that they do in our communities. So it was a nice gesture, I think, from our Rotary Club. So great weekend. Thank you very much. I think Happy News is up next.
I'll kick it off.
Great.
This is Karn. I am thrilled to announce that I will be retiring from the Martha Ellen Ty Foundation at the end of May. It's been quite a ride. The 9 years has been nothing short of extraordinary. But more happy news on top of that is that Heidi Dalal has been promoted, and she will take over as executive director as of June 1st. Heidi is well prepared. She's got 15 years with this foundation. Equally exciting. It'll be a seamless transition. And thirdly, we are posting today the position to fill Heidi's current position. So anybody who knows of somebody, you can refer them to the Martha Ellen Ty Foundation website. It's posted there and the job description is there. So help me spread the word. Find Heidi a great partner.
Well, congratulations, Karn.
Thank you.
Yes, that is exciting news for you folks, and we're happy to hear about Heidi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks for kicking it off. Who else has happy news you'd like to share? Okay, hearing none. Dr. Fisher, would you please introduce our program for today?
It would be my pleasure. And I'm going to start with introducing one of my valued colleagues, the Vice Chancellor of Continuing Education and Workforce Programs, Jackie Goodman, who is a fellow Rotarian. She has done so much in her career at Iowa Valley, and in particular in the last few years in a leadership role in workforce, and the initiative that they're going to talk about today is just a great example of that. And I'm actually going to let Jackie introduce our community partners.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, we're excited to share information about our latest community partnership called Make It Your Future, Boosting the Manufacturing Pipeline. And MAKE stands for Manufacturing Awareness Through Knowledge and Experience. And this is an initiative supported by the COVID Employer Innovation Fund, which we'll talk to you a little bit more about later on in the presentation. I am going to introduce my partners in crime, and we've had a great time doing this. First, Eric Goslinga, and he is the MLA Principal, At-Risk Director, McKinney-Vento Homeless Liaison for Marshalltown Community School District. Hi, Eric. Good to see you on camera. Allison Wilson, Family Development Director from MICA, Mid-Iowa Community Action. And the success of this initiative would not have been possible without our partnerships, which you're going to hear a lot more about. So I do have a PowerPoint. Kim, I think I can share my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, can everybody see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, as I already talked about, MAKE stands for Manufacturing Awareness Through Knowledge and Experience. And the key focus of today's presentation is we really wanted to focus on the partnerships and the value of the partnerships and the community assets that we have. And so as you can see, I just pulled a quote, but partnership opportunities increase when you help others win. A little win for a partner is a little win for you. And even Karn, congratulations, Karn, mentioned how important it is going to be to find a partner for kiting. Well, we've had some wonderful partners with this project. And so we will share some little wins. We will also share some of the challenges that we've had, and then as well as some of the opportunities that we've discovered going through this. So starting with challenge number one, when the COVID Employer Innovation Funds, that's a mouthful, were rolled out, you didn't have a lot of time to really think about a long range plan. It was a very intense timeline. We had 2 weeks to submit our proposal. So that meant that we had to pull together our partners, design our curriculum or package our curriculum, and fit it into a schedule that would actually make it feasible for delivery. So I had this vision, and thankfully Dr. Fisher and Dr. Schutte and Jackie Wyant and Eric and Allison, our partners, were supportive of me just kind of laying out a vision in my head, and because that's what it was going to take to move this forward and pull together a timeline in short order. So we received notice of funding in September 2020. We had to have all of our funds spent by December 31st, 2020. However, our programming could continue through February. So we actually have a cohort going on right now. And that was very different to me, thinking about, having to recruit and have have the money spent before the services are completely delivered. So it was just an additional challenge, and we had to move fast. I basically told my team, I said, buckle up. This is a fast moving train, and we're probably going to encounter some bumps along the way, but most importantly, we're going to be helping people, and we're going to be learning from this experience. So our why. Why did this partnership develop? First off, to provide participants with the tools to earn a sustainable wage. According to our census data, our region has 9,208 individuals living in poverty. That is too many people. A lot of people needing help. 50.45% of Marshall County's population has a high school diploma or less. So when you think about when the governor rolled out Future Ready Iowa, these are the people that she's targeting. The Future Ready Iowa goal, which ties into these COVID Employer Innovation Funds, is that 70% of Iowans in the workforce will have education and training beyond high school by the year 2025. So as a partnership, we wanted to be able to serve our local communities and fill the workforce pipeline. We have in our region alone over 169 annual openings in our region in manufacturing. These jobs are key, as well as other sectors, but these jobs are key to economic vitality in our region. So now I'm going to turn it over to Allison, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about MICA and how MICA fit into all of this, and also explain some of the whys behind the decisions that were made with this project that you will hear about later. She's going to provide some additional information in support of that. So I'm going to turn it over to Allison.
Thanks, Jackie. We are grateful that Jackie reached out to us to partner and just wanted to share why it impacts the work we do here at MICA. If you don't know much about MICA, we are a nonprofit community action agency serving children and families in central Iowa. Most of our programs and services to those who are affected by the conditions of poverty, not all, but most. Our mission is to provide opportunities to people in vulnerable situations and equip them to achieve stability, security, and success. And while we have many different programs here at MICA, we centered our efforts around recruiting families in our family development programs. And those staff work one-on-one with families to set goals, break down barriers, and connect them to resources. And that's mostly done through home visits, which look very different during the pandemic, which tend to be virtual. The partnership not only aligns with our mission, it connects directly to our 2-gen approach, and particularly our upcoming strategic plan that we used information that we collected from families, stakeholders, and staff for our 2020 community assessment. So I see our community assessments up there, but quickly, just our 2-gen approach builds on family well-being by being intentional and simultaneously working together with children and adults in their lives. And so it recognizes that families come in all different structures, shapes, sizes, and that families define themselves. And so an example would be, we have a staff that are working with a family to enroll in Head Start. We would also learn from the families what their goals are around, whether that's education, employment, to help support their move towards success, economic security, health, and well-being. And so that allows for better alignment of our services to achieve the family's goals. And then what we found in our community assessment, you could switch back to the community assessment, or you're on it, is what we learned from our families when we surveyed them. And so on the left, you can see data that we collected before COVID, and that is about 251 responses for all our 5 counties that we serve. And then the one on the right is the data we collected during the initial phase of COVID, where our staff called families, and we had about 261 responses. And it was a good representation between all our counties that we serve. Then, as you can see, almost 31% of our families said employment was a need, and that during COVID, 82% said they wanted assistance for finding a better job. And so it connects very closely to what we do on a day-to-day basis with our families. You can go to the next slide. Okay. So our staff worked with families to help break down barriers. And like Jackie said, we had to move really fast. We had to pull everyone together, really explain and be very intentional about the families that we reached out to see if they were a good fit for this program, and help them break down barriers, identify the needs. So just to give you a little bit of what we learned, the challenges are twofold. While we can provide childcare assistance funding to families, families may not have someone to actually pay. So they might not have someone to do the childcare for them. Or the transportation example that we use a lot is you can give gas funding or funding for car repairs, but if you don't have a car, the family needs to rely on someone else or a taxi service, and they have to take their kids. It's just another barrier they have to break down. And then there's the unemployment versus underemployment. So we heard families talk about how they were picking up hours wherever they could and did not feel like the timing was right to commit to something when they knew that right now they needed money. So it's just a vicious cycle that happens. They want to do better, but or get a better job, but it's really centered around, what do I need right now for basic needs? And pandemic, I'm not a shocker to anyone, create a lot of challenges for families as we continue to hear the stress, families are facing with supporting their children in this pandemic and their learning. And we're seeing very, numbers high in stress, mental health, things like that. And so it was just really hard if they were helping family or their children online learning, or just felt like it might have been an added stress. So we would hear a lot, maybe not now, but I'd be very interested in the summer. So while those are just some examples of, perhaps some challenges we heard, we did have families who we were able to connect to participate, and we're very excited about the opportunity to take part of the initiative and do look forward to more. And Jackie, she'll share more about our successes.
Thank you. Now I'm going to turn it over to Eric. Are you there, Eric?
I am. Hey, good
Okay.
afternoon, everybody. Marshalltown Learning Academy, on behalf of the school district, was really excited to partner in this endeavor with Iowa Valley. Jackie has been on the leading edge of a lot of these kinds of initiatives over the years. And the folks at Iowa Valley Continuing Ed have been a tremendous partner for students at Marshalltown Learning Academy. Here at MLA, we share a lot of the same goals that both Jackie and Allison articulated. Moving people from poverty to a sustainable living wage or a middle class thing is absolutely life-changing. For the students that we serve at MLA, we have students who have a number of barriers to employment. Those barriers may be some mental health needs. They might be some past traumas. They might be some past academic struggles or difficulties. But this program has been tremendous in helping us get students who are about to graduate a leg up for future employment and get them to be able to walk into a business with some credentials, with some experience, and get a living wage job immediately. So these short-term, high-impact training programs are really few and far between. Jackie's heard me say that a few times over the years. These short-term things are really hard to find. For kids who really struggle and have barriers, going to college for 2 years, going to college for 4 years is really hard to sustain. But they can sustain, in a lot of cases, a short-term training program with the support of like a school district behind them. So we're really excited to partner with this. This doves in well with a lot of the other work the school district is trying to do around work-based opportunities for students. So this program was just awesome for the kids that we got there and were able to benefit from it.
Thank you, Eric. All right, why did we choose manufacturing? Well, as you can see by the map, we have a lot of jobs in this arena, and in our region alone, we're looking at 7,857 jobs with an average wage over $50,000. And what we really wanted our participants to understand is that this education will just give you a great start, kind of a leg up into what can be a fascinating career. And so that is why we mapped out this pathway, hoping to introduce them to some of the foundational skills in manufacturing that they're going to need to be successful. So as I mentioned before, we, as a partnership, received $95,062 from the COVID Employer Innovation Fund. And it kind of breaks down here in this slide where most of the money is going. Most of it is going to direct tuition assistance for students. We also incorporated the child care assistance and the transportation assistance. And we did base that on Micah's community assessment. And we have learned, as Allison has mentioned, that we can look at an assessment like that, build a budget without a full understanding of the issue. So in particular, the child care assistance did not get used at all. And Allison and I have had conversations about what we've learned and the why behind that, and the lack of available childcare for our participants. So that was one of the challenges that you're going to hear about. And then of course, some funding for marketing We were able to purchase a piece of equipment that was an upgrade in our machine tool technology lab. And then administrative costs needed to stay below 10%, which you can see we clearly hit that. But what this did is this allowed us to have up to 2 employees in the classroom with the students. And that was needed because we're introducing them to technology that many of them have never experienced before. And that, as well as the technology for our instructors. So we needed someone helping the students and sometimes someone helping the instructors who may not have been as comfortable with the technology. These are the outcomes that we built into our grant application. We were hoping to serve 20 participants, and of that 20, hoping to get 15 all the way through manufacturing fundamentals, and then hoping that at least five will enroll in a credit program, and then 10 will secure employment. And part of the challenge with some of this and being able to hit all of these metrics is the timing. We're still running cohort number 2, which you're going to hear about next slide. So we're going to continue to track our students to see how they are progressing. We stay in touch with them. We plan on staying in touch with them, especially with the help of our partners. So going on to the actual program that we designed in 2 weeks, thankfully, we were already offering a lot of these programs already. We built in an orientation. We felt that it was important for students to get to know our staff, and we needed to learn a little bit more about them. The rest of the curriculum, Workplace Excellence, provides kind of that foundational skills like communication, showing up every day. You know, we were tracking attendance. These are all things that if you're going to be employable and successful, that you need to have. And then intro to computers, OSHA, welding, and then the shop math, measurement tools, machine trades, print reading, those were online. So that was part of the goal, is that this really needed to be a flexible option for people. And we also recorded all of the sessions except OSHA. OSHA, you had to attend in person, welding, of course, too. But for the certification for OSHA, it had to be in person, so we didn't record that. But if you were to miss a class, in most cases, you could watch the recordings and get caught up on your curriculum. Okay, so how did we do? Our students, while we had maximum registrations for both cohort 1 and cohort 2, we have a total of 12 that will have completed all or a portion of the training. 11 of the students are male, 1 female student. Tracking COVID impact was important for the grant. So, and what we mean by impact from COVID for this perspective is job loss. So we had 33.3% of our students that, yes, I lost my job due to COVID. And then the 66.7% no. 58.3% of them are unemployed. 16.7% are employed part-time, and then 25% employed full-time. Educational attainment, 33.3% do not have a high school diploma. However, they are working on it. As Eric has mentioned, talking about some of the students in his program. 41.7% have a high school diploma or equivalent, and then 25% have at least some college after high school. In our age ranges, I forgot to mention this, went from 17 all the way up to 63. So we had quite the broad spectrum of students. Okay, some of our challenges. Some of these mentioned before: attendance and keeping our students engaged. We know we lost some due to COVID, the illness. It's a 7-week program, and if you miss 2 weeks because you have to quarantine, To some, just watching the videos isn't enough to keep you engaged. So we've learned from that. Online instruction. We had students, believe it or not, especially in cohort 1, that have never used a computer before. So we had a moment of panic thinking, oh my gosh, the second half of this program is online. What are we going to do? What we did is we provided some extra instruction for the students that were struggling in that area. So they were able to get through the online portion. The course schedule. We had to cram, we're doing 2 cohorts. We had to cram the 7 weeks. You know, I mean, that's a lot of material in 7 weeks. So in that time frame with COVID, or if you're working, it was a challenge getting there. So that's one thing that we're also learning from. And then just the various levels of knowledge and experience. Cohort 1 definitely struggled more with the technology, whereas cohort 2, when we got through the intro to computer classes, I mean, they just breezed through it. They were tech savvy. So we were able to modify and be flexible and build some more computer classes into their experience. So that was another, I would say, plus for us, is that we had that kind of flexibility with our instructors to take away some things, to add things as needed, because we really wanted them to get value from their experience. So opportunities, we need to continue to do more of this, expand our partnerships in the community to fill the workforce pipeline. We hear of shortages everywhere, manufacturing, healthcare, education. Continue the use of modularized instruction to serve part-time and full-time employees, breaking it out more, chunking it out more so that they have flexibility and they can learn at their own pace in some ways. Lengthen the program, don't cram it into 7 weeks. That was definitely a valuable lesson. Increase the blended and online options, but make sure that you have the support on the back end while all along the way for those that may not feel as comfortable in that environment. So our impact. This is my favorite part, as told by participants and staff. So group 1, we had relationships established with other participants right away. There was an extreme introvert in the class with a communication barrier, but established a great relationship with another student in the class, boosting his confidence. He began to speak up more. And my staff, they felt so good about it, those that were in that classroom watching all of this. We had another student come in with just a very negative perspective on life, and then always late, always had an excuse. Then midway through the program, she changed. Her commitment level changed, her attitude changed. She came in, she was positive, and no more excuses and no more tardiness. She was actually early to class and was quite proud of that. So when you start to see this mindset change, it's very rewarding, building the confidence up. We have 3 brothers now in cohort 2, all working full time, but never missing a recording, and so happy to have this opportunity. And then one student that has just never missed a class, is so professional and so appreciative, and tells my staff that on a regular basis, how grateful he is for this opportunity. And I wanted to end with some direct quotes from our students, because it just makes you feel so good. The first one, I want to be the first grandchild to graduate from high school. And if you think about that, it's that, support structure that we all have had that maybe others haven't. And this is a great goal to have. Not only is this student working on getting his high school diploma or equivalent, but he's getting additional training on top of that. And then our last one, thank you so much. I greatly enjoyed the MAKE program and classes. After getting laid off and feeling lost, it filled a void and a purpose. And it was nice to have a routine, a reason to get up and get out and about again. thanks to you folks, I've warped into computer world. This was our student that had never touched a computer. So just really proud of this initiative and the impact that we're having. I can't thank our partners enough. Eric and Allison, thank you so much. And I look forward to doing more of this with both of you and expanding our partnership opportunities. With that, we will open it up to questions.
I'll kick it off. How did you find these students?
So that was, our partners have been phenomenal. Eric and Allison, when we really launched this, first it took buy-in on the front end. They had to believe in what we were trying to accomplish. And as we were talking through it, they immediately said, oh, I have some people that I know will benefit from this. And they were recruiting directly to their families and students. I don't know if you guys want to add anything, Allison or Eric.
I would just share that, you know, our staff have great relationships with the family, so they really were intentional in picking out. They knew what families would be a good fit for this, and that's who they really worked with to break down those barriers and get them to commit.
I would say that we used information from career interest surveys and our Zello platform, which is where we do our college and career readiness work in the district. And then we pulled an extract of that, kids who had an interest in the manufacturing area, and then made a personal contact with each of them. And in a lot of cases here, also their parents, making them aware of this opportunity. It's the one-to-one kind of marketing that really makes this work. Unfortunately, you could put all the ads on TV and on the paper and everything like that. That isn't going to get it done. It's like what Allison did and what we did is what really makes the difference.
Jackie, I've got a question in regards to your relationship and what you've done in terms of working with the actual manufacturers. You know, kind of the end of the equation.
Yeah, well, so even for this, we had to have manufacturers write letters of support, and we had been already working with Bruin on a project, and then Larry Raymond we had done a lot of work with. So both of those organizations wrote letters of support, and then we've also along the way put out information from others that we have talked to about this initiative. And so like Marshalltown Company, Emerson's very aware of this initiative. And now I think, Karin, they're waiting for us to say, we now have students ready for them to hire. And so that's going to be our next step. We had this crazy idea, not crazy, but we wanted to do a reverse job fair, but keeping in mind COVID. So we wanted to actually video our students and kind of market them that way. Well, I just learned today, and then we put it out to employers at, you know, they could watch the links. Well, I learned today that our students are a little hesitant to want to make a video, and I totally understand, because I don't know that, now that I think about it, I don't know that I would like that either. But what we're going to do is regroup. If that's not going to work, we are definitely going to pull them in, help them with their resumes, and then help them connect to all of the employers that we are connected to on a regular basis. So does that answer your question? It's kind of a long answer. Any other questions?
Jackie, this is Bob Moore. I'm asking about the funding. Do you see a continual funding stream now for this operation beyond our present kind of emergency funding?
So we, so this grant's about over, but we have funding called the Workforce Training and Economic Development Fund that we have done other projects like this for other manufacturers, and we call it pre-employment training. This actually goes a notch above that, which leads directly into a credit program. So to keep this momentum going, we plan to use a portion of those funds, but you're going to see a modified version of what we have developed here, because I want to pull our partners back together and figure out what we need to do differently, because I do think it needs to look a little differently. It needs to maybe be extended to allow more flexibility for those that are working. So yeah, we do have a funding plan for this going forward. And then hopefully you hope that it can sustain itself at some point.
Great, thank you.
Good question. Any others?
Well, if I may jump in one more, I did notice on a previous slide that roughly 25% of the population that you surveyed was interested in a 2-year degree, another 25% in a 4-year degree. I don't have that in front of me exactly, but it was interesting to see that quite a few students were interested in more than a certificate, which is the focus of the cohorts you described. So plans in the future for working on those 2-year and 4-year aspirations?
That's where it really is going to be important that we stay in touch with these students. So because, and I'm going to use Eric as an example, as we were kicking this off, this is meant to be kind of a feeder so that people can feel comfortable in a training environment. And hopefully we've kind of hooked them in and gotten them excited about education that they'll want to go on. And Eric brought his students out here before the program started because they were very nervous. They're very nervous about coming back to school and coming out to the big bad college, right? So, so programs like this will continue to, build their or boost their confidence, like we heard earlier today. And like I said, hopefully hook them in so that we can then connect them into a degree program. So we certainly know that, for example, in manufacturing, maintenance, industrial maintenance technicians, huge need. You can't get that training in a short-term certificate setting. You've got to go into the degree program to get, that lab training that these students will need to be successful. So we will definitely be working on that.
Great, thank you.
Well, Jackie, I would like to thank you and the others today for a very interesting program and for the good work you're doing in our community. Clearly, it's a need, and we're really happy to hear more about it. So thank you for doing our program today. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and next week, if I can get Kim to get our agenda up, it'll be another very interesting program, but there's a good explanation about it. It says the Marshalltown Community School District Curriculum and Professional Development teacher leaders Jenny Allen and Pam Brewer-Michael will share about their current work-based learning initiative concerning the development of career trees and the Iowa STEM Best Award at Marshalltown High School. Be another really great and interesting program. So thank you very much. You'll want to be sure to be here next Tuesday. Please join me in reciting the four-way test. The four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? I now declare the February 16th meeting of the Rotary Club of Marshalltown adjourned. Have a great week, everybody.